What I wish I knew at 20 instead of 30, the power of untold stories. Welcome to the Babs Micheal Show. From innovation to inspiration, we're diving deep into the untold stories that shape our world. Exclusive interviews, groundbreaking events, and impactful narratives. Join Babs Micheal as we connect you to the hidden gems of information and inspiration. Don't miss out. Subscribe now and follow us on social media. Welcome on board.
Hello guys, welcome to the Babs Micheal Show, and I remain your host, Babs Micheal. This is going to be our premiere show, and we've done some highlights about what the Babs Micheal Show is all about. We're going to be starting our premiere show focusing on education, specifically the Utme 2025 ITA series. We're going to be having some analysis of the results, the way forward, how has been education standards in Nigeria. What is the way forward? We're going to be having some interviews, Basically, that is what the Babs Micheal Show is all about. It's trying to show that the normal things are still normal because the world is turning upside down. It's like the normal things are no longer normal. Education is no longer important. Talent is no longer being appreciated. And many other things like that. So what we want to do is to change the narrative that what has been normal is still normal. So we're going to be focusing basically on the UTM. In this series, we're going to be having interviews with some students that did exceptional in the UTME. We're also going to be having interviews with executives from the JAMB, that's the Joint Admission Matriculatory Board, those in charge of the UTME examinations that was completed and the result was just announced. So I'm going to analyze the results. I want to hear your views about it. What has happened to education? Is it just new? People said people failed a lot, but it's not like that. It's been like that for a while. For the past few years that I've been declined. I'm going to do all the analysis today because I've been declined. So I want to see a wake-up call for our educational institute. People say, no, people are excited about the social media, that most of the students are live on TikTok. That's what they do now. Or some are on Instagram, or some are on Facebook. No one can take the importance of social media away from our students, but we can understand how it can be managed properly. So that's not bad. People can maximize their skills on the social media. We are not rubbish in the social media. We just want to make sure that things remain valid. Good things are always being celebrated. So, coming back to the UTME 2025, I'll need you to get engaged, with this video. Your comment, your expression. What do you think? People say the fear. I'm going to start by analyzing the result. They said over 1.5 million out of the 1,955,069. That's 1,955,069 candidates. I'll say it again. 1,955,069 candidates sat for the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. That's UTME. So over 1.5 million scored below 200 in the just concluded exam. Scored below 200. This was revealed in the statistical analysis of 2025 UTME results released by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAMB, on Monday. The statistics indicated that only 415 candidates scored above 200. Only 415 candidates scored above 200 in the 2025 edition of the UTME. The data show that 75% of the candidates scored below 200 in the exam, with less than 1% scoring above 300. You can see less than 1% scored above 300. That's massive. So what is wrong? Is it that our students are no longer studying? What can we do to salvage this? What can we do to save this? Only 1% scored above 300. So if anyone's got above 300, that's 1%. We'll find a way to celebrate students, that teach well. I'm going to be bringing out some individuals that actually want to encourage part of those 1%. That's what the BMS is, the Babs Micheal Show is all about. We want to focus on information like we're doing, innovations, we're doing inspiration, that we have impact. We want to impact people that have chosen to do excellently well, that are growing with what they can do over time. So I'll be keep watching. We're going to be talking about that, what we want to do for those 1%, less than 1%. If you talk about less than 1%, that will probably be, I don't know how my mathematics is, 1.9 million, candidates involved. Close to 2 million, average like 2 million. So if you have average like 2 million, basically 10% of 2 million, it's about 200,000. So 1% it's going to be about 20,000. So less than 20,000 had over 300. That's the meaning. So probably like 19,555 candidates, there about 19,000, had over 300. That's serious, I don't want to say that's massive. So what did they say? Let's look at over the years so that we don't assume that students have failure, because it has always been like that. Let's look at 2018. In 2018, the number of candidates is about 1,502,978, and 1.19 million had below 200. That's about 74.1% at below 200. So we need to be very specific now so that we can all know the way forward. In 2019, 1,719 candidates wrote the exam. 1,719 candidates wrote the exam. 1.40 million scored below 200. That's 77.0% failure. So it's not new. So people that are telling me, it's new, they feel that you can see. In 2018, 74.1% had less than 200. In 2019, 77.0 had less than 200. Now in 2020, 1,949,983 registered for the examination. 1.54 million scored below 200. So that was the year we had almost 1.9 like we had this year too. After that year, we have a decline. Because in 2021, about 1.3 million only registered. After COVID, people understand the power of social media online. Lesser people now want to continue with education. So if you watch immediately after COVID, or there are about 1.3 million, or it can be COVID factors. We cannot conclude on that. It's still about COVID factors. So only 1.3 wrote the exam in 2021. So 1.351215. And 1.14 million scored below 200. That year was massive. That's 87.2% scored below 200. So it's not new. I'm trying to say it's not new. And in 2022, 1.837011 did the examination. 1.33 million scored below 200. That's 77.8% scored below 200. You can see, just follow me. In 2023, 1,595,779, 1,595,779 did the examination. 1.17 million scored below 200. That's 76.6%. So over time, the percentage of pass in JAMB is always less than 30%. It's always like that. So it's not new. So 2023, 1,595,779 wrote the examination. 1.17 million scored below 200. Was that 76.6% failure? Now in 2024, 1,842,464 wrote the examination. 1.40 million failed the exam, scored below 200. 76.1% scored below 200. That's the rate, 76.1%. So there have never been a time that it's been so high. It's always down. So look at this year that we just spoke about. This year, 75%. Out of 1,955,069, 1.5 million. So for the past 7-8 years, the rate of success in JAMB has gone drastically down and is going down. So it's not new. People brought up the idea that, the social media, this and this. Even before the social media became so wide anyway, it's been like that. That means post-COVID, even pre-COVID, is always like struggling. But the decline has been consistent. So what do we do? What do you think has been the cause? Do we think UTME exam has been difficult, that students struggle to meet the standard? Or do we think that students are no longer concerned about education? That people have diversified. There is nothing wrong in talent appreciation, nothing wrong in all the means of admission that we can have now, but the fact remains. I remember when I wrote JAMB, in my time, it was combined. We wrote both Poly JAMB. It was separate, Poly JAMB was different from Uni JAMB. Unlike now, the whole is combined. We can choose all those things. So you try Poly JAMB, you didn't work. You try Uni JAMB, you didn't work out. You try Poly JAMB as at that time, But now, it's a combined examination. What do you think is wrong? Do you think students are no longer serious? What can we do to salvage this? That's the essence of this video, to bring this information, to bring this analysis so that we can see that it's not just this year, because the message going on at this point is that people failed JAMB this year is massive. No, go back to the statistics. 2018, 74.1% failed, scored less than 200. 2019, 77.0% scored less than 200. 2020, 79.2% scored less than 200. 2021, 87.2% scored less than 200. 2022, 77.8% scored less than 200. They will say 2021 was COVID. So a lot of people were not prepared for exam. No tutorial classes, no school. People had to self-prepared and all that. We can understand why they say 0.2 scored less than 7.2%. Now, in 2023, 76.6%. In 2024, 76.1%. Even if you have an average up to 2024, it simply means about 11,872,149 road JAMB, 9.17 million failed. And that's about 78.3%. That's an average of those that have always failed JAMB. So the statistics shows that it is around the 80%. So only about 20% pass JAMB. So what is wrong? Reason you see most cuts of less than 200 in some schools. How can we salvage this? What can be done? What is the way forward? Do students need to prepare the more? Do students need to study the more? That is why this series is going to be bringing a lot of people. Students that score less than 200, what are their challenges? Students that scored over 200, how did they, what did they do? And those that scored 300 and above. And we also find a way to reward excellent results. Those that scored above 300, what can be done for such people? What can be done for those that score above 300? We're going to be seeing it. I have individuals that are ready to support, encourage, and inspire people that are doing massive. So if you know anyone that scored above 300, we'll do our work. Let them keep watching this video. Let them keep connecting to us and see what will come out of it. So what the JAMB says, this is the statistics for this year. About 4,756 scored above 320. 4,756 scored above 320. That's 0.24%. About 7,658 scored above 300 to 319. That's about 0.39%. You see that? About 12,414 scored 300 and above. 300 above. Maybe 300 above, everything inclusive. That's about 0.63%. So it basically means, from my calculation earlier, that said less than 1%. So less than, exactly 1% will be 19,000 something. But when they say less than 1%, about 12,414. 12,000 candidates out of millions. When we say millions, about 1,955,000, only 12,414 scored above 300. That's a lot of things that we need to focus on. And we're not going to fold our hands, because we want Nigerian education to move forward. We don't want students to get into school in a funny way. That's why you see, there is no seriousness educationally again. So we are ready to bring about that change. That is why we're speaking data. When we evaluate data, we'll be able to think of the solution and the way forward to what we have. So only 12,414 scored above 300. That's 0.63%. Not up to 1% scored above 300. That's serious. 250 to 299. About 441 candidates scored between 250 to 299. 73,441. That's about 3.76%. Between 200 and 249, we've got about 334,560. That's about 17.11%. Majority of our candidates were found between 160 and 199 average. So it simply means our students are not that bad. They are very close there. 160 to 199. That's about 983,187. That's 50.29%. So it simply means we can salvage a lot of things. 50.29%, we're close to that 200. 160 to 199. They will be closer. 50.29%. So we will not say it is terrific, it is extremely bad. We can find a solution around that. So 50.29% are close. What can be done to push them higher? What can be done to revive education, interest in education back? What can we do? 140 to 159, Between 140 and 159, about 488,197. That's about 24.97%. Between 120 and 139, about 57,419. That's about 2.94%. Between 100 and 119, about 3,820. That's extremely poor. Going backward, that's about 0.20%. So, those numbers are not huge. Below 100, just about 2,031. Below 100, 2,031, and that's about 0.10%. So I think something is concerned here. It shows that there are a lot of numbers that are migrating towards the 200. Between 160 and 199, I'm going to be focusing on that. It seems that between 160 and 199, we're about 50%. If those people can be pushed ahead and something can be analyzed and they can do better, they all can go over 200 and we can begin to have about 70% of success. Because 17% score between 200 and 249. The others are less than 1%. So you have about 18%, 18% above 200. Then you've got about 160 to 199, about 50%. So that can give about 70% success rate. So our focus is to see how we can have a turnaround. How can our students do exceptionally well, excellently well in the UTME exams, and change the narrative for the past years. We have not been able to be analytical about this result and find a way that we can navigate and talk about the success of this exam. So going forward, we're going to be deliberating and discussing on this JAMB result. How can we bring back this interest of education? From this, what happened? Students go into the school to do courses that they don't want to do. Many people are graduating. People that are even going in on the social media, people are saying, people that are even doing the exams. What are they doing? TikTok. People that have graduated, what are they doing? TikTok. Everybody is saying there is no job out there. So people ended up going into the school, doing what they don't want to do, not the course they prefer to do because of the challenge from the score. You can see a lot. You cannot give admission to only 17-18% to get into school. So others will come in one way or the other. Lesser courses will be available. They just go into school, just do their 5 years and come out and look what they want to do. So things are changing. The way our visions are changing, goals are changing, academic goals are changing, but we need to change our narratives. So we're going to be doing this together and we'll be analyzing this. We have a lot of interviews towards this, bringing some people that have done JAMB in the past. How was it there? Those that are doing exceptionally. Now, those that struggled, what are their challenges? Then we can now put all these statistics together, evaluate them, and we can have action plan. How can we migrate into success level for our students? So viewers, you need to follow consistently so that we can do this. So this is going to be our first series, focusing on education, trying to turn around education, make education get better, using the JAMB analysis as our reference. This is going to be our focus. Why do we have decline in education in Nigeria? Why are people no longer excited about education? Why are people not bothered about getting admission? Those times admission is like extreme success. Now, I'm not sure people celebrate admission, matriculation as it used to be. So what is happening to education in Nigeria? What can we do? How do we salvage it? These questions will be answered in consistent episodes where we're going to be interviewing some people, both students, officials, those that have done many JAMBs, JAMBs many years ago, those that haven't struggled to gain admission, but were consistent enough and have gone. Some of them have become PhD holders, some are master's holder. We have them so that we can learn from them. Then we'll look at the present generation. What is happening to the Gen Z? Why are they struggling to pass JAMB? From this result, we can see that less than 1% scored above 300, 17.11%, at between 200 and 249. About 4% score between 250 and 299. So invariably, about 20%, scored between less than 300 to 200, and about 1%. So overall, only about 21% scored above 200. Those are the people that you might think admission is normal for. But basically, you can't even get into school sometimes with 200. But that has been the year. I say it again, that has been the statistics over the year. So, in the statement that accompanied the data, JAMB said 40,247 underage candidates That's also another area we'll focus on. They mention underage, are they less than 17 or less than 18 or less than 16? We're going to be analyzing that. Underage candidates were permitted to demonstrate their exceptional abilities. However, they were permitted, so they allowed them, they were underage, but they allowed them to go do the exams. However, only 47 of these candidates, that's about 1.16%, achieved scores that meet the threshold for exceptional ability. So I think there is a way that JAMB encourage those that their age are below the standard for writing the exams, and there's a threshold, there's a score you must get to maintain that you have that exceptional ability. So only 1.16% achieve scores that meet the threshold for exceptional ability as defined for the UTME, with their performances in the subsequent 3 stages still pending. There are other analysis that is coming. So I'll do it from what I've said. I'll still read the statement. Of the total number registered, 97 candidates were involved in examination infractions. So 97 candidate infractions, while 2,157 others are currently undergoing investigation. They have confirmed 97 candidates that did wrong, examination malpractices and all that. But 2,157 are under investigation for suspected malpractices. So they are still going to check out for some, But how do we measure those malpractices? Are they actually genuine, or are there factors? I remember some double register with errors, not intentional. I remember some years ago it happened to some of my students that registered for exams. The email was invalid. They used another one. They now said there is double registration at the exam center. They were arrested. So JAMB needs to actually look into that and see how they can do better. So additionally, 701 candidates were absent. They didn't come. It could be many factors. It could be health factors. It could be, most of them are even secure admission. Some are even jackpot, so they couldn't wait to write the exam. So about 701 candidates were absent. Those facing biometric challenges are also under investigation. Maybe different thumbprinting and all that. And those who are cleared will reschedule for examination at designated centers. So furthermore, few of the results, including those of blind candidates and others in the GOG candidates group, are still being processed. So special candidates, those that are challenged, we have different centers for them. I won't say blind candidates. I can just say visually challenged. So a press conference will announce the individual result of candidates, and to facilitate result checking will be held later in the week. But for now, those are the analysis. So what we want to do is still a measure to see that education is still very much important. Anywhere you go into the world, you travel, education is still very much important. No matter how people rubbish or talk their education. And how do we salvage it? By finding a way to see the rate of success in our JAMB exams and UTME exams, basically, then we can move it from there. So follow me through all the series. Don't miss anyone. Tell others to join us. Just subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to all our social media. You see the details at the end of this video so that we can take you through this series of interviews, bringing some people that are ready to support the growth of education in Nigeria. Share this video, let people know that the Babs Micheal Show, it's here because we need to change the narratives, and we're here to give you information, to give you innovation. That's our idea, to give you impact, to give you inspiration so that we can get to the next level. All right, this is going to be the end of this first show, which is the premiere show, taking us through the series we'll be having. I look forward to see you engaging, talking about this. What do you think? So let me ask that question. What do you think is responsible for failure? What do you think? I want to see you express yourself under this video. What do you think is responsible for this failure over the years? And don't forget to share the video, subscribe, and be part of this wonderful channel, the Babs Micheal Show. Thank you for listening to me. I remain Babs Micheal. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Take care.
Thank you for watching the Babs Micheal Show. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on all our social media.